The doctors not resuscitating patients without telling their relatives. 1 in 5 families weren't consulted, where medics decided not to revive.
My first thought was, he's saying there's something we can do and we're not going to do it. We're not going to plug the machine in, we're not going to do anything.
Also tonight, the stay-at-home school strike just hours away as thousands of parents make a stand over testing. Tipping's off the menu. Restaurants could be banned from adding a service charge to your bill. And countdown to kick-off. Leicester City could win the Premier League tonight without even kicking a ball.
This is ITV News with Kylie Pentelow.
Good evening. It's a medical decision not to try to restart a heart that's stopped. Do not resuscitate orders are sometimes a grim necessity in hospitals. But tonight it's been revealed that 1 in 5 families in England are not being told. An audit has found the equivalent of 40,000 patients a year are having the orders imposed with no record of conversation with the family. Here's Juliet Bremner.
7 years after his son died, Tony Bonser still campaigns for better ways to prepare for death. Neil was 35 years old and suffering from cancer when his parents were told he wouldn't be resuscitated.
The consultant came up and just said, I think I ought to tell you that we've made a decision that if Neil suffers heart failure, we won't attempt to resuscitate. Now, that was the first time that subject had ever been opened to us, and my first thought was, he's saying there's something we can do and we're not going to do it. And I was quite horrified by that. But after that, the thing that really upsets me now as I talk about it is I don't know whether it had been discussed with Neil.
A do not resuscitate order is given to patients in long-term decline, where intervention could cause more distress than benefit. But today it emerged in almost 1/5 the cases it's never discussed. The Royal College of Physicians who carried out the study say it's unforgivable for medical staff not to have these conversations.
We've got to get better at communication. We've got to be honest with our patients and with our family members. And the third thing is we've got to realise that at the end of it all, we are compassionate human beings.
After it emerged elderly patients were dying from dehydration and starvation, the so-called Liverpool pathway was abandoned. But hospital staff can still struggle to find enough time. The report indicates that decisions are being taken too late. By the time elderly people are brought into hospital from their nursing homes, almost half of them die within 24 hours. The figures have improved, but NHS England acknowledges more still needs to be done. Juliet Bremner, ITV News.
Thousands of parents are planning to keep their children home from school tomorrow in a boycott of controversial SATs exams in England. They're opposed to the compulsory testing of 6- and 7-year-olds, saying children are being overworked. An online petition has gathered nearly 40,000 signatures. More from our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
Why are you doing it that colour on that side, Josie?
Because they need to be symmetrical.
Good girl, that's right.
6-year-old Josie isn't going to school tomorrow. Instead, she's taking part in unprecedented strike action. Her mum, a trained teacher herself, is keeping Josie and her brother out of school for a day to protest against what she and thousands of others say are increasingly difficult SATs tests.
Obviously, it affects different children in different ways. Well, we've got one little one here who keeps having nightmares. She says that she can't do it in her sleep. She doesn't know she's saying that, and that's really upsetting.
The government insists the tests are vital for measuring children's progress, saying in a statement, children should only ever be taken out of school in exceptional circumstances, and would urge the organisers of this campaign to drop their plans, because it simply isn't fair on children to deprive them of a day of their education. Labour say the government created this mess.
Well, I wouldn't condone any parent taking their children out of school on any day, but I do understand the concerns that parents have, which are shared by head teachers and others, with the chaos and confusion that surrounds this year's SATs test.
Parents taking part in the strike are planning alternative educational activities.
We're going to be having a day of learning outside, and if we feel like it, we might do a bit of writing as well about what we've actually experienced and all the things that we've imagined. So we might do sketches as well. Would you like to? Yeah, definitely.
A day of fun for pupils and rather less so for education ministers. Carl Dinnan, ITV News, South London.
Talks aimed at extending a ceasefire to more of Syria are inching closer to their goal, according to the American Secretary of State. John Kerry is among the diplomats in Geneva who are trying to revive a nationwide ceasefire agreed in February, which has since collapsed. And Jerry Adams today apologised for using a racist word. The Sinn Féin president tweeted it after watching a film in which the word is used extensively by an African-American character.
Well, it was used by the main character many times in the movie. It was inappropriate for me to use it. That's why I withdrew it quite quickly, and that's why I apologise for any offence caused.
The way tipping is dealt with in restaurants is about to change. The government wants to ban tips from being added to the bill automatically, and also to stop employers from deciding how much waiting staff get to keep. Sejal Karia explains.
Tipping tends to be an awkward business. To tip or not to tip, how much, to whom, it's all very confusing. But the government wants to make the whole thing clearer by ensuring restaurant staff keep their tips in full and making the restaurants themselves spell out to the customer that tipping is optional.
You should be given a choice. I think when you see that on the bill, I think some people just automatically pay it without really thinking, have I had good service or where is that money going to?
I think the confusion comes in whether we're paying the restaurant, which is an additional cost to the food, or actually we're paying the member of staff who has given us the service and who we'd like to pay directly.
The owner of this restaurant says he too would welcome clarification on all aspects of the code of conduct. And he shares the gratuities here between all staff because he says it's fair. Other restaurants aren't though, and many are accused of subsidising workers' wages with tips.
This is distributed amongst all three departments, which is the bar, the kitchen and the floor, since they all have a great contribution to customer journey and customer experience.
Staff say they're happy with the system, but recognise not all colleagues share the same experience.
You need to know where your money is going. If establishments aren't communicating that to their staff properly, then obviously it's going to cause them a problem.
The government says if firms don't stick to the voluntary code, it'll be enshrined in law. Sejal Karia, ITV News, West London.
Finally, it's take two for Leicester City tonight as they bid to become Premier League champions for the first time in their history. To win it, they need Spurs to fail to win at Chelsea. Our sports correspondent Ian Payne is in Leicester for us. Ian, plenty of chewed fingernails there, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that again. There really is only one conversation in town at the moment. The equation, as you say, is very simple. Spurs have to win at Chelsea tonight. If they don't do that, then the championship will, of course, go to Leicester City for the first time in their history. Everyone's cramming into bars. This city welcomes people from all over the globe, and tonight there's one unifying theme.
You can't keep Leicester out of the headlines. At the city's cathedral lie the recently discovered remains of Richard III, and now another worldwide attraction as the city's football story is making history too. But which is more interesting?
Well, I think in the long term, the Richard story is more interesting to me. But the football's also fascinating, particularly given the diversity of the city and given that increasingly the fans of Leicester City are diverse as well.
This is Narborough Road, according to the London School of Economics, the most diverse street in the country, with at least 22 different nationalities represented in its shops. At the Kurdish Barbers, it's a gentleman from the Gambia in West Africa having his hair cut, and football has united the world here.
It brings the city together, all the people, all the fans, we love it. Football, we love it. And Leicester on the top. Yeah.
All nationalities and faiths have caught the football bug, and their success has created local adventurous entrepreneurs. At one takeaway, you can get a mighty Mares or the Vardy burger.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And a Vardy coffee to go with it.
Yeah, we can do you a Vardy Chino, we can do you a Vardy Latte, we can do you a Vardy Flat White, Vardy on everything.
Although a Vardy Lager may be more popular tonight. Ian Payne, ITV News in Leicester.
We'll find out if they do it on the late news at 10. See you then. Bye-bye.